Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I am so excited because we're going to be reviewing the brand new Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay guys, so I am so excited for this video. We are going to be doing a 2-day wear test. I won't be doing the longest wear test today. That's going to be tomorrow, but today we're going to be comparing the brand new HD Skin to the original Ultra HD foundation. So the Ultra HD has been a favorite of mine for many years. I've been wearing this probably for about 7 years. This has been a favorite of mine. That is a really long time. So this has always been like a really nice light to medium coverage foundation. It definitely is very skin-like. It looks beautiful on the skin. It's not heavy. It is a perfect everyday foundation. It's also one that has worked very well for my dry skin. And if you're new to my channel, just so you know, I do have dry skin and I also live in Canada, and we're currently in the middle of February, so I really put my dry skin through the test right now. But this has always played quite nicely with my dry skin. This has just been one of those foundations for many years that if I don't know what to wear, I grab this one. If I'm going to work, I grab this one. Whatever I'm doing, this just tends to be it. I have repurchased this so many times. So I'm really hoping that when they reformulated this, they didn't change too much. I am curious what is different between the two. So this is the outer carton of the new HD Skin, and this is the new bottle. So this is very pretty, very chic compared to the original. I never minded the original. I thought it was nice, but this is definitely more chic. This is definitely something I would definitely want to sit out on my vanity. I think it's very pretty. It looks very classy. Opening it up, it does have a standard black pump that makes me happy. This is a glass jar, and from what I've seen online, the color of the lid actually corresponds to the actual color, to the actual shade of the foundation. So I thought that was kind of a nice little touch. Okay, so this one is an Ultra Flawless Second Skin Effect with a high blurring effect and an undetectable finish. Buildable medium to full coverage, which is kind of interesting, whereas I find the original was definitely a more light to medium coverage. So I'm curious about that. High resistance on skin, 24-hour long-lasting, waterproof, sweat-proof, and mask-friendly. True to skin shades, and enhances skin tones with a semi-matte yet luminous finish. No color oxidation throughout the day. And it also says ideal for normal, combination, and oily skin types, and non-comedogenic. So that claim about normal, combo, and oily skin types kind of concerns me a little bit. So again, like I mentioned, the original formula has always played really well on my skin tone. So I'm hoping this is going to as well. I have the shade 1N06, which is Y218 in their original formula, which does concern me a little bit. So I have the shade R260 here, and I did the shade match, and this is what it told me to pick. So hoping that it's correct. So each of these does come with the new shade name and the original shade name in parentheses, so you don't have to guess. And then this is also, so again, like we mentioned, natural finish. This does have a 12-month shelf life, and it is made in France, just like the original as well. What we're going to do today is one side of my face, I'm going to use the original formula. The other side of my face is going to have the new one, of course, and then I'll check in at the end of the day and compare the two sides and let you know the differences that I noticed. And then tomorrow we're going to get a really good, at least probably 13-14 hour wear test out of this. I'm working 2 jobs right now, so I've been pulling very long days, both from home still, but I've been working very long days. Therefore, I want this to hold up. Let's get into it. I'm going to do I'll do my left side with the original formula, and I am going to use a brush just to get the most coverage. Okay, let's go in with a brush. So this is the original. On this side, let's actually try a pump side by side. The shades are a little different. This one's a little lighter, I will say, and I will say the original formula is definitely more liquidy. This is the original, this is the new one. So the original is definitely more liquidy. My shades are different, so we might have to do some adjustments, but we'll deal with that when we get there. I am noticing the shade I picked up in the new formula is a little bit lighter, which is probably good because this one is a little bit darker. Okay, so as usual, the original formula is definitely, it blends into the skin really well. It plays well with my dry skin as always. And while the original formula was definitely a favorite of mine for quite a while, there are certainly formulas that I like better now. For example, the new NARS foundation, I definitely prefer that over the Makeup Forever. Not that it's bad, I just tend to prefer the new NARS. I'm not actually liking the original formula as much as I remember liking it. I haven't worn it in a little bit because I've been bouncing between all these new ones. I just feel like I'm not enjoying it as much as I was. Okay, let's do it. Let's try the other side with the new formula. Okay, shade match looks fine. And the description of this shade was for porcelain skin with neutral undertones. That's me. Okay, the shade match is pretty close, but I will say that the new shade is better. Okay, the new shade is definitely a much better shade match. I'm actually seeing some weird kind of darker pigment on this side. I don't like that at all. I think I forgot to mention the new foundation is about $44 US, 55 Canadian. So it's not a cheap foundation, but Makeup Forever products have never been cheap. They are a pro artist brand. I do think it looks quite nice on the skin though. Let me quickly pop off camera, finish the rest of my makeup, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so the rest of the makeup is on. So far, they both look quite similar. There's definitely something off about the shade comparison, I will say that, but so far so good. Again, I will mention the original formula definitely dried down better than the new formula. The new formula definitely stayed a bit tacky. I did add powder all over my face. Neither side seemed to be clinging anywhere to any dry areas or anything like that. They're looking pretty similar. I feel like the newer formula has more coverage to it so far. I will say that I don't think you're going to get a full coverage out of the new formula. I really don't. If you want a full coverage option, the fullest coverage you can usually get is with a brush. You saw me use that today. I did not get a full coverage option. I would definitely say you can build it to medium, but I don't think you're going to get much better than that. That's the only thing that I do disagree with on the claims. But overall, I think both sides look really, really nice. They both feel weightless. They both look very skin-like. I do like the shade of the new one better. I also like the coverage better. Those are the only differences I see so far, so I'm going to continue wearing this throughout the day. I'll let you know my thoughts, and then tomorrow we will do a full day with the new formula. So let's get started with the day. All right, guys, so we're at the end of the day, and both sides of my face are looking okay. I will say the side with the new HD Skin Foundation is, I think, definitely more full coverage than the original. I also think it's more matte, with the exception of right here in the center of my face. I seem to have a little more luminosity, but I'm not mad about that. For me, that's a good thing, just because I'm so dry, so to be able to see a bit of a glow going on after 8 hours, that's pretty good. On this side, it's definitely a little more worn off than this side, but again, one thing I always noticed and what I loved about the original formula is that when it does wear off, it wears off gracefully. So it is starting to wear off, but it's not looking awful. So I do think the new formula so far has a better wear time, and I do think you get more coverage. I do think it's more mattifying than the original, and I do think the shades are slightly different. Yeah, I'm not mad. I really, really like the new side quite a bit. I think each formula has its own thing to offer. Yeah, it surprises me that they're so different given that one is just a reformulated version of the other. That's kind of strange, but overall, I am so far really, really liking the new HD Skin, better coverage. I like the kind of luminosity. However, that makes me think that for somebody with more oily or combo skin, your oils are going to be poking through quite a bit right here if I'm getting a luminosity. I can't imagine what that would be doing to an oilier skin type, which is strange because this claims that it's specifically targeted to oily combo normal skin types. It's not supposed to work great for me. However, it has, and I am not mad. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning, and we will get started on a full day wear test of the new formula to see how it wears under a full day. So that's where we'll leave it for today, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning, you guys, and welcome to day 2 of our wear test. So today we're just going to be doing the new HD Skin formula, and we're going to see how it performs all on its own. I don't have any primer on. I did just finish my skincare and I used the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, which has kind of been my everyday go-to lately, but that's all I'm using. So we're going to get into this today. We're going to wear this all day. I'll try to check in midway, but I will definitely be checking in at the very end of the day with my final thoughts. And I'm actually going to go in with a sponge today because yesterday we did a brush on both sides, and now I'm curious how this performs with a sponge. I did really like how the HD Skin formula worked yesterday with a brush. I liked it in general. I liked the wear time. I liked the shade match better. I definitely get a little bit more coverage out of the HD Skin than I did with the original formula, so I find that really interesting as well. I honestly feel like the two formulas are so different, I almost feel like they could stand alone. And with a sponge, the new HD formula is looking very, 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 very skin-like. I think they both look very skin-like, but I do think the original formula is a little bit more so. I want to try using the new formula with a brush on the other side. I just want to see kind of the side-by-side comparison of sponge versus brush. Yeah, I think I like it more with a sponge. With a sponge you definitely get more of a skin-like finish, but I just find it much easier to blend out. So I'm just going to go back in with the sponge. I like it better that way. And I'm really going to keep an eye on dry patches and dry spots. It does look quite natural and skin-like. However, it is definitely more matte, but so far I think this looks really, really nice. Let me pop off camera, finish the rest of my makeup, and I'll be right back. Alright, the rest of the makeup is on. So far, so good. I definitely think this foundation is definitely very mattifying, but it doesn't feel dry, it doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel uncomfortable or anything like that. It just feels very weightless on the skin, which I really like. Once I added some powder, it took away the tackiness, so that's a plus, and it didn't add any heaviness, and it didn't cling anywhere. So that's where we'll leave it for now. I will check in with you guys in a little bit with an update. Hey guys, so we are now at the end of the day, and let's talk about the foundation. This new Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation is looking very, very good. I really like how this wore on my skin. I'm looking closely. I don't see, my dry patches aren't looking noticeable. My skin has a certain luminosity about it. So I noticed when I initially put this on, it definitely settles down to more of a matte than the original formula. But as the day wears on, I can definitely see more of a luminosity, which is kind of interesting given that this foundation mentions that it's going to be great for oily or combo skin. If I'm seeing a luminosity right now when my skin is so dry, that leads me to think that somebody with oily skin is going to be feeling really oily and cakey by the end of the day. So I find that really interesting. That being said, that's not my skin type, and this has worked really well for me. I was really happy with how it wore yesterday. I'm really happy with how it wore today. Again, it looks super skin-like, really nice on the skin. It's given me a luminosity, and it's the end of the day. And and somehow now I like my makeup more than this morning, which is really interesting. Not a problem. I mean, that is definitely something I'm good with, but I will say these I think are definitely very different. They're very different. This one is more sheer. This one doesn't really dry down matte, but it's definitely more sheer. It does wear off very gracefully, and it's always played nice with my dry skin. I've also heard those with oily skin complement this foundation. It is really nice. That being said, over the years, I've still really enjoyed this, but it's not a favorite as much as some others I've discovered. So perhaps it was time to reformulate this, although I do still think this is a really great foundation. So the reformulated version it's definitely different. You get more coverage. It dries down more matte, but at the same time it does retain a certain luminosity, and it plays super well with my dry skin. I didn't think it would, but it really, really does. My skin looks great right now. I was not expecting that. I've been wearing this all day. I've been working. I've been touching my face. You know, I've had meals. I don't feel like this should look as good as it does, but I'm really happy with it. Again, it's very comfortable. It's very lightweight. It looks very skin-like. I like the way my skin looks, and I'm overall really happy with this. I do see where it's kind of worn off on my chin, and I don't think it wears off quite as gracefully as the original. It's a little more obvious when, you know, I've been wiping at my chin and things like that. So that's the one thing I will say. I do prefer the new packaging, and overall I think they're both great foundations, but I do think I think they're very different. I do think they're quite different. There are certain properties about them that might be similar, but overall I think they're different, and in some ways I think they could even stand alone, in my honest opinion, because I do think they're so different. However, I can see why the brand doesn't want to keep both of them in the line. So more sheer coverage, very lightweight, and this is definitely a much thinner formula. This one, thicker, better coverage, dries down matte, but does retain a certain luminosity throughout the day, but it's certainly more perfecting on the skin. However, they're both lightweight. They both have a skin-like finish. So do with that what you will. I think they're different. While I've always been a big fan of the original, I think I like this more. I can't believe I'm saying that. I did not expect to like this as much. Like, my initial thought was, you know, I really hope this doesn't suck. But I really like it. I'm surprised that I really, really like it. The only thing I do disagree with on the claims is that I do not think you're going to get a full coverage like it advertises. It says medium to full coverage. I really don't think you can get a full coverage. I also don't agree that it is specifically formulated for oily skin in mind, because when I read that claim, my first thought was, I'm going to have a bad makeup day. This is going to cling to all my dry spots. This is going to look terrible. And it doesn't. For me, it worked out very well. It didn't cling to any of my dry patches, and throughout the day, instead of settling into dry patches, instead of settling into lines, all it's done is gained a certain luminosity all over my face, which I absolutely love because it makes me look less dead by the end of the day. So overall, I'm loving this. I love this reformulated version. 10 out of 10 recommend, especially if you have my skin type, if you are dry. I would say normal to dry is who's going to appreciate this. I love this. I'm really, really, really happy with it. I love the bottle design. I love the formula. Definitely going to keep wearing it. I can't wait to compare it with some of my other foundations as well, but I'm very happy with this foundation, and I hope this video was helpful, especially with comparing the two formulas. That is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so very much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. And that is it for me today. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!